Psalm 125, a complaint against foreign powers, wisdom for righteous living, and a raspberry at the northern kingdom of Israel. Psalm 125 is one of the 15 pilgrimage songs collected together toward the end of the book of Psalms, also called Psalms of Ascent. These psalms were sung by pilgrims on their way to Jerusalem. Such psalms came from various sources and were repurposed and edited for pilgrimage use in the post-exilic period. This means the original meaning and usage of Psalm 25 could be rather different than what it was used for at a later date. Psalm 125 as we have it reads, Song of the Ascents. Those trusting in Jehovah are like the mountain of Zion. They will not be dislodged. They remain forever. Jerusalem, the mountains surround her, and Jehovah surrounds his people from now and until forever. For the wicked rod will not rest on the allotment of the righteous ones, so that the righteous ones will not put their hands to wrong. Do good, Jehovah, to the good and to the ones upright in their hearts. And to those who turn aside to their crookedness, Jehovah will send away those that make trouble. Peace upon Israel. This psalm has 3 strophes. The first strophe, consisting of the first 2 verses, is rife with parallelism. Har and Harim, or mountain and mountains, Zion and Jerusalem, which are synonyms, Olam and Olam, forever and forever. Within verse 2, we also see a parallel comparison. Mountains surround Jerusalem, and God surrounds his people. The second strophe is verse 3, which has a chiastic structure. The first line mentions wicked and righteous, while the second line reverses it, righteous and evil. The third strophe consists of the last 2 verses. Here, verse 5 is the antithesis of verse 4. Verse 4 mentions goodness 3 times, good, good, and upright, while verse 5 mentions evil 3 times, turn aside, crookedness, trouble. In the first verse, the verb dislodged is himot in Hebrew, which is related to the word hamatim, those who turn aside, in the last verse. Using words with similar roots but disparate meanings form an inclusio, which ties the first and last verses together and provides an overall balance and unity to the psalm. Many scholars view Psalm 125 as a complaint psalm, like Psalm 123. Psalm 123 is a plea for God's grace in a difficult situation. Be gracious, because we have become so full of shame. And in the exilic and post-exilic eras, Jews struggled with being ruled by other nations, and the exiles felt abandoned by God. Complaint psalms pleaded for God to intervene and to bring justice. Occasionally this was done by reminding God of what kind of God he is and what he should be doing. In Psalm 125 verse 2, God is supposed to surround his people like the mountains surround Jerusalem, or like a mother's arms surround her children. In verse 3, the rod represented foreign rule, and the allotment of the righteous represented the land of Israel. Being ruled by another nation meant faithful Jews faced the possibility of being coerced into serving other gods or adopting pagan ways. This psalm indicates their belief and prayer that wicked tyranny would be temporary, so the righteous people could flourish rather than become tainted, and that the wicked ones would get what they deserve. Psalm 125 also has the characteristics of a wisdom psalm. Wisdom literature often focuses on human behavior, making observations and noting consequences to actions. Verse 3 sounds like a proverb from wisdom literature. Verse 4 suggests good consequences from righteous actions, and points out that righteousness comes from the very heart of a person, and not just his or her actions. God would be good to the good. Verse 5 suggests negative consequences from evil behavior. God will punish the wicked. Ancient Jews appreciated double meanings, puns, and plays on words, so it should not be surprising that this psalm has multiple meanings. Considering this psalm could have been written before or during the exile, an alternate meaning could even have been the original meaning. Some scholars think that verses 1 through 3 are the original psalms, with the other verses added later, because these verses best fit the complaint form. Others believe this psalm was originally a wisdom psalm, and that verses 3 through 5 are the original psalm. The uncontested verse in any case is verse 3, which provides us with clues to what an older meaning of the psalm may have been. Clues to another meaning for Psalm 125 lie in the words rod, or shebet, allotment, or goral, and righteous ones, or tzaddikim. The Hebrew word shebet, or rod, also means tribe, as in the 12 tribes of Israel. Goral was a Hebrew word used almost exclusively for tribal land allotments, as described in the book of Joshua. Tzaddikim means those who have a right relationship with God through keeping the covenant. Rewriting verse 3 with these alternate meanings in mind, we see, "For the wicked tribe will not rest on the tribal land allotment for those who keep the covenant." Combine this with verse 5, "Jehovah will send away those that make trouble." And one could make the case that this psalm is a polemic against the northern kingdom. In the 8th century, the northern kingdom of Israel was invaded by the Assyrians, and its people led away to other lands. The religious establishment in the southern kingdom viewed this event as a divine judgment for the northern tribe's unfaithfulness to God. When Jerusalem under King Hezekiah withstood being attacked by the Assyrians, it was easy to assume the southern kingdom had been righteous and had earned God's protection. They were God's true people, unlike those lousy northerners. Psalm 125 could have been originally composed as a reflection upon the Hezekiah triumph before the southern kingdom was taken into exile by the Babylonians. At that time, it would have been a proclamation of God's protection in the face of evil. After the exile, instead of being a proclamation of God's protection, it became a plea for God's protection in the face of evil. Instead of victors, they have become victims. But they still cling to the belief and hope that God will be good to those who are good.
It can mean this